Okay. Get started. Okay. Okay. What's going on? What's going on? Yep. Make sure everything. Okay. So just just make sure. All right. Hey. All right. So we're going to talk about this whole pardon situation that I've been stressing since the last few days that Obama had, from the last 20 days or 19 days from Obama's start of the before the Trump administration came in. And when you look at how kind of laxed kind of lax the black community was, like, I don't want, not to isolate anybody else, but at the same time you got to understand, like, um our community kind of deserved kind of deserved the pardon that some of these other people have been getting throughout the years, because this is something where it was you had uh these COINTEL federal illegal programs that were purposely set traps for men and women in the black community, just specifically so just to prevent them from having a voice, telling the truth. So this little topic right here, is basically talking about how Chelsea Manning, who received a pardon from Obama, magically, you know, to me, it's a magical pardon. Like, how did he get the pardon? Um, Hold on for 2 seconds. Let me see if this whole little chat thing is going. I'm still not the illest with this thing right here, man. And God knows how I set this shit up. All right. I don't know if the chat is running. I don't know if it's running or not. Um, I don't know if it's enabled, disabled, or whatever the case is. Unfortunately, I'm not the illest. So this is just something that we're gonna run through. I'll go live. I'm gonna try to go live throughout the day, for this Thursday or whatever. But back on topic, I'm gonna just get straight back to understanding Trump's response. Let's get to Trump's response to uh, this whole Obama pardon and Chelsea Manning, just so you can kind of see where we at with it. All right. Okay. So this was the campaign. This was the campaign. This is what the campaign was. Pretty simple. Look at this. Couple of people out there holding signs. Wow. Picture of a man that turned into a woman in prison. And what's kind of strange and peculiar about that is you actually, it takes a lot of money, those hormones and all of that to turn into a woman. So unless they turned him into a woman, where did he get the money inside this? I'm not sure if he was in a brig or just a federal prison, but where do you get the money to turn himself into a woman, to get a sex change in prison, right? You get, and then it's like, oh, it's like torture. We need to set him free. So, this is their little campaigns. Couple of people, that cared enough. Okay, so this is the Trump, um, this is the Trump comment. Let me try to make it larger. Actually, I can, but anyway, he calls him ungrateful traitor Chelsea Manning, who should have never been released from prison, is now calling President Barack Obama a weak leader. Terrible. This is Donald Trump's response to Chelsea Manning's, who was, if you look him up, he's Bradley Manning, but he's now Chelsea Manning. So this was Trump's response to Chelsea Manning calling Barack Obama a weak leader after he's already received this pardon. Now, this is a small campaign. This is a fairly small campaign, and it's cute, it's cool, and it looks pretty organic. Please free Bradley Manning. You know, he has the right to be heard. Now, to me, should Bradley Manning have been pardoned? Yes, because what did he do? Pretty much, he is the one where you see the drone. I think he's the one who gave the drone footage to WikiLeaks. He's the one who gave the drone footage to WikiLeaks, that where you see, the U.S. military just killing a bunch of civilians and like they playing a video game. Now, should people see that? Of course, people should see that so they can understand you're sending your children and possibly joining the service, and these guys are just taking advantage of other communities, and just it's just a game, and you're giving manpower to people who's taking advantage of other men and women in other communities. And maybe something compelled him, came over him, just where he just came out and gave the information. Is something wrong with that? No, I don't think nothing's wrong with being honest, truthful, and and upholding the Constitution, and standing up for the people at least. Because if this was done, if the shoe was on the other foot and this was done here in the States, it would be like it would be viral. So it kind of went viral, but it was still underground because they didn't really pound away how horrible of a situation that was, how disgusting that was, that just men and women walking in the street, these guys are using drones. They're sitting somewhere in some little cabin, just blowing people brains, just blowing people into dust with these drones. So this is the information that Bradley Manning handed over to WikiLeaks, Assange, I believe, and that's where that whole conspiracy come in, and they calling him a traitor, for giving up uh, vital information or classified information. Now, classified because you're calling people terrorists, but you're terrorizing everybody else. You understand? So it's just something where I look at it like this, man. I look at it like this. How could we actually, you know, uh, call ourselves a country of freedom and rights and all of this, all the catchphrases and all the punchlines and all that or whatever. But at the same time, you're doing the exact opposite. So, not that you know, uh, the country wasn't built that way, or excuse me, the corporation that's encroaching on our country isn't built off of bloodshed and terrorism, right? So when I hear different people throughout um, the country, and just different people just say things like yeah, we need to get the Muslims and Islam and this and that, because that's all of this information that's coming out is actually pinning to be turned on its head and be directed again at so-called Islam or Islamic terrorists or Islamic extremists. And the undercurrent of what the media is actually doing is turning those extremists from whatever they look like, today, into black people. All right, and that's on the CNNs, and that's on the MSNBCs, and that's on that's the propaganda that's put out. So that's the only reason that it catches my attention. All right. So um, it's catching my attention because, you pardon somebody who did the right thing, you know, but they also locked them up for doing the right thing. So, here, Donald Trump, who's now the president, calls him a traitor, which I don't agree with him calling him a traitor for doing the right thing. It's wrong to say he's wrong for doing the right thing. Now, if it was like, codes, because I believe when Bill Clinton was the president, he gave up codes to China. It was like they was like walking in and out of the Pentagon, take and giving them a bunch of information. So now here it is. He was giving them, and they was taking vital information on the military and all types of things, all communication, and that was announced, and kind of, swept under the rug, because if you know anything about the Rockefellers and you know anything about that, that's been a deal since the '60s, where they boosted China's economy with by giving pretty much the whole "Made in America" slogan was erased, and "Made in China." That's where you get the "Made in China." So that's why the U.S. the U.S., uh, the people whose alliances to the U.S., right? Because again, the conversation, if you go to the video prior to this one, with just talking about how the U.S. citizens are different from or citizens of America and different from American civilians. Just so you can understand that there's a difference with all of them. So now the U.S. citizens are usually, that's one side. So these guys are bankers and have their corporate interests. Um, so at this point, the deal that they made with China, in when you get the citizens of America, which would be Trump and his faction, his alternative order that's coming up now. It's all hand in hand. At the end of the day, it's all hand in hand. You see these guys taking pictures and chilling in bathtubs together. I'm just making that up there. I don't know if they actually be in bathtubs, but I wouldn't be surprised if somebody actually comes up with a picture. But you get the point. But what you seeing is you're seeing, um, they're trying to create an enemy. They need an enemy because in turn, that's how you fund the military. So they're creating this enemy, and the enemy, at this point, it turned from Russia because now, Russia has an alliance with Trump. And so now they were like, oh, well, the enemy is China. China is now putting pressure on the U.S. because the U.S. is in these waters, but the U.S. and China have been doing these practice scenarios for a really long time. They've been doing these practice scenarios for a really long time. You can, Google it. You can look it up yourself. You can do all that research yourself. So now with the pardons, the conversation about the pardons is key because, although, you get Chelsea Manning who comes out and speaks out, leaks this information, and all the journalists that were locked up and murdered throughout the years, and now a military man who is under contract. So pretty much that's the reason why why it's a little difficult, for anybody who's corporate to really co-sign him being pardoned because he's a corporate agent. He's an agent of the corporate, of the military, who leaked information to civilians, and civilians, found it appalling. Like myself, I found it appalling that children and men and women just sitting around, with just being shot down, just like it was some type of video game. And although people in life they looking at things like as if life is some type of video game, it's not. So now the conversation that I have to say to all those Obama supporters and all of those, Obama could do no wrong. I'm not going to say I'm not like these other guys who saying, fuck Barack or fuck Obama or what. I'm not, I don't co-sign that because, it does nothing for us. I understand the whole I understand symbology. So him being a black man in power does and did help a lot of people. But okay, now let's get back to business. Now, when it comes to business, the business part of it, he didn't do nothing for you, fam. I guess it's nothing. He didn't even give a pardon. That's why I was like, stop joking around, stop clowning around. Um, or with the buffoonery, the distractions, and all the beefing, and all of these unnecessary energy, um, being deterred from men and women who was actually out there on the front lines. If you look at what is this documentary? If you look at, damn, it's a trillion documentaries on what was taking place, throughout the years and throughout the '60s, and I'm not even going back, further than that. I'm gonna just, stick to like the '60s and these political prisoners that were locked up just for fighting for basic human rights, civil rights, human rights, just basic things. Um, Now you see, like, these men and women who were on the front line talking about whether it was black nationalism or just basic freedom. Fred Hampton, was one of those men who was, although he was really young, he spoke, ahead of his time. He was really what they call when somebody just young, but they're just really uh, just powerful for their age, like like an old soul, because the way he spoke, he was extremely. It's not that he was so articulate, but it's just his message resonated with a lot of people. And he was a unity guy. He was a humanitarian. He wasn't like, yo, kill Whitey, kill Cracker, blah, blah, blah. He was like, yo, let's work together. Let's get this thing moving. And they killed him specifically because he was unifying, and he was a man for all people. And he was actually getting whites, blacks, Asians, Mongols, all types of people to work together to fight against oppression. Oppression is really what the struggle is against. It's not against the white man. It's not against the black man. It's not against the Asian man. It's really against oppression. Because what happens, like the Haitian Revolution, what happens with the Haitian Revolution? Okay, they kick the white man out, and then what you hear about, the leader turns into a, turns into a tyrant and does his people worse than the white man. You understand? And you hear that with so many different leaders who they kick out whoever the oppressor is, and then they become the oppressor. So that's not the goal of a true anarchist. That's not the goal of a true movement that's built on order and obedience, or law, and law abiding men and women of reason, um and or of faith. You understand? So when you see today's people who call themselves, whether it's Pan-Africans or Black nationalism, and they say whatever, I just, that's why I say just beware of all these fake factions and all these fake guys coming up talking to like they pro this, and they not. You already know that they scamming you, they frauding you, and they not really looking at carrying the culture. They just looking at all of this information as a simple come up. You understand? As a simple come up, a way to get in your pockets, and a way to hurt, and a way to just, take what they can from you and laugh at you, because they don't care. They're becoming the oppressor. They talk about, this man is the oppressor, that person is the oppressor, but then they become the oppressor. So I think if people gear gear it gear the anger more towards stopping oppression, you know, um, the equality conversation, but just understanding the enemy is oppression, greed, things like that. When you know how to reprogram yourself and avoid the nonsense and the distractions, then you'll see more cooperation, throughout, your community, your state, your country, and pretty much it becomes a domino effect. But the pardons that we should have that we should have gotten was pretty simple to me. We should have, what happened to Mumia? I'm sure he would have appreciated it. He wouldn't have said, Obama was a weak leader. I'm sure, excuse me, Asada Shakur, she wouldn't have called him a weak leader. She would have appreciated it, and she would have just kept living her life out in Cuba or wherever. But now, H. Rap Brown and all these other men and women, that put their lives on the line, for so many years, and are being held as captives for what? Being held as captives for what? So I don't know if this chat is open. I'm gonna try to see if my brother could jump in, at any given time. He could jump in. But pretty much, that's the basis of the conversation. The conversation is, do you think, that Sada Shakur, wouldn't appreciated that pardon? Did she not deserve it? Did did with H. Rap Brown and what they call the whole Boricua movement that was trying to defend their land against America coming there and bombing them, and they was bombing them all the way into the 90s. You understand? They bombed Puerto Rico. They was dropping bombs and testing on, for years and years and years. And now here we go. Some of these guys are still locked up just for fighting back. Just for fighting back, they get locked up, and they're called the enemy, and they're called the terrorists. But simply put, with the whole Trump response, calling, the whole Trump response calling Bradley Manning a let's see if I do this. The whole Trump response calling Bradley Manning an ungrateful traitor. That's interesting. That's just an interesting way to word it. And again, it's not coming from the POTUS tweet. It's not coming from that one. Although this is his Twitter, he's the president now, and he shouldn't. These personal tweets are dangerous, because you don't know who could be doing this. You understand? You don't know. He could be somewhere else, and here, he go, and this is just a tweet. I didn't hear him say this. Even if he comes on TV later on and says it, this is still really, really, really dangerous, um, uh, for this president. So that's why I'm saying, like, until he removes himself from Twitter, or he because another thing is, being it's not coming from the presidential Twitter account, you know, it's not a, maybe it's not meant as a presidential statement. This is just his personal feelings, so it can be taken that way. This could be taken as, oh well, this is how he personally felt. Now if it came from the presidential account, Twitter account, then that's a whole nother conversation. um, to me, because now I understand that, there's a difference between the two. Now, he has, several followers, you can see, and this gets a ridiculous amounts of likes and shares, but that doesn't make it right. You understand? That doesn't make it right on no level. That doesn't make, him calling Bradley Manning a traitor for telling the truth, and it doesn't make Bradley Manning a smart guy or girl for actually calling Obama, the man, the president that gave him the pardon, calling him a friggin' a weak leader. Now, for Chelsea Manning, I don't know, man. Like it, like his struggle. I didn't go through his struggle, so I can't say what he should and shouldn't say. But I would just be grateful to be out of the box. You got what I'm saying? Like, so I don't, but again, I can't say what a man or woman would, how they should, say or feel. And how did they get a response? He's not even going to be out until May. You understand? He's not even going to be. So they're in the prison this whole time while, while it looked like he's driving in the car in that picture, that picture of, the Bradley man or the Chelsea Manning picture. It looked like he's like driving somewhere, meaning he's like living some type of good life. So this whole thing can be a fake, propped up scenario, just purposely to push things into a space where they can manipulate it at any given time. So it's treading on thin ice, and for me personally, again, that's why I'm so disappointed in the Black community. That's why I'm so disappointed in um, all the communities that say that they're about liberation and they're about freedom and they resist and this and that or whatever. But when it came to the men and women who was on the front line, you know, oh no, 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 let's not pay them no mind, because what was more important was people boasting about how many followers and how many people was actually following and talking and liking and talking about them and sharing their information. When most of these guys' information are not, they're not qualified to talk about what they're talking about most of the time, or their information is information that was already said by someone else. Margaret Sanger actually addressed that. She actually said these people were saying things that was already said, and it was said by people who said it better than them. You understand? So, and it's Margaret Sanger. So, and it's really tough to co-sign anybody who, somebody like that. But when it comes to what's happening, and where we in the space that we in today, and when you see these silly events, it's just disappointing. And somehow, I think, through, as the kinetic energy keeps moving, as the energies keeps moving, and we keep, talking and building, hopefully we can get things on point and be a lot more constructive, opposed to, destructive, opposed to, power shouldn't be synonymous with, with bloodshed. You understand that? It just it shouldn't be, synonymous with terrorism, with oppression. you know I don't call any of these men that's doing these things supremacists, and it's just horrible wording, because it's psychological. That's like putting a white Jesus in your wall and you got a black family. It's like putting an Asian, Jesus on your wall, and whatever. You know what I'm saying? So my thing is, you got to look at why some of these things are being said and why some of these things are being put out. Me as as an artist and as an advertiser, I look at it where that's the wrong wording. It's oppression, oppressor, fight oppression. Be anti-oppression. And I think we already proved our point about how destructive and how nasty we can be, because there was a whole "I'm a nasty woman" speech that Madonna and the rest of these people, Ashley Judd and all of these, when they, that was a whole nasty woman movement. And we got a whole disgusting, nasty poor decision group of men that's trying to prove how stupid and how ignorant they can be. I think everybody proved that point already. People of all colors and all races. At this point, I think we need to to show and prove that that we can get back as the vanguard of peace, harmony, so forth and so on, liberation, and all of these things that we, tell the rest of the world that we're about. Right now, we got the entire world petrified. And if as most women that's traveling the world, people are looking at you side-eyed like these are your children that's over in the States doing these things, or these are your husbands and your boyfriends or whatever, because it's the women that's traveling the world mostly. It's women, black women, all types of women, and other men of other races. Most of us black men, barely getting out of the States, barely getting out of our little towns and wards or whatever you want to call them. You understand? So it's really up to the women. It's really up to pretty much all of us to kind of cooperate and make the change that's needed. And when I'm saying the change that's needed, the key phrase to change is not about, because somebody was like, oh, didn't you get change? No, 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 no. You don't just want change. You want change for the better. Add the rest of those words to it, because it's like things, it was a change for the worse. You understand? And it's still on that road, and we need to make a change for the better. You understand? So, again, throughout the day, I think I'll just continue to jump on and have a couple of more conversations, a couple of more topics that we build on. But this was, something fresh, and it was actually something that I already had set up to talk about, and they just kind of lined it up for me. So, and I just kind of just jumped on it. So I appreciate the family for jumping on. Let me see if anybody's actually there with me right now. Salute to anybody who's actually on with me right now. And again, damn man, I just wish I was I just wish I was a little more savvy in this thing. And this chat is still not popping. This is because I do not know how to do this thing. But anyway, so yeah, pretty much if you're not, if you're new to this channel, then please subscribe. If you're new to the conversation, then you got any questions or anything like that, leave a comment. But I'm going to, or the channel's already set up. The channel is Rawyal Weekly YouTube live stream TV. It's RWYLS TV. RWYLS TV. Probably leave it in the link. Leave the link in the comments and in the description of the video. And again, thank you for listening. And next time next time with this pardon, I can't imagine um, uh, Donald Trump pardoning anybody. Barack Obama pardons a baseball player, a baseball player, instead of H. Rap Brown. And it's just amazing. Out of 1,000 people that was pardoned, not one of them was anybody that that was on that front line. So it's up to us to make a change. And hopefully this gave you a little, just help with something, give you as far as like building with information, and you could kind of continue the conversation. And until the next time, all right, peace. uh America versus the United States. Once you wake up, you realize you're the star.